Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar, How Small Safety Teams Can Respond to Mass Crises. My name is Elizabeth Finifro, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at OnAlert. I'm joined by Phil, our Head of Product, and today I'll start out by running through a few slides on challenges faced by small safety teams in emergency situations, as well as some potential ways of handling it. I'll then hand it off to Phil to run through a demo of the industry's first solution for mass engagement. We'll save a little time at the end for Q&A, so if you have questions as we move through the presentation, please feel free to add them to the chat and we'll be sure to address them at the end. Real quick, for those who are not familiar with OnAlert, we introduced the first emergency mass notification solution back in 2004, and we continue to drive innovation in this space with over 2,500 customers across diverse industries. So, in emergency situations, people find themselves in varying locations and with varying needs. Depending on their location and needs, the safety team should provide them with specific instructions in order to best keep them safe. In addition, those people are probably able to provide safety teams with valuable information that can help in managing the situation. Unfortunately, simply broadcasting out an emergency alert is not enough. It means that everyone receives the same message, and it does not provide an easy way for people to respond with information as to their status. Additionally, if you did ask for everyone to respond, your safety team would be completely overwhelmed with all the various one-to-one conversations. Now, imagine if there was a way to focus on those specific groups of people who really need your help, assess their situation, give them specific instructions, and better understand the evolving situation. So let me give you a visual. These blue pens here represent the people you're trying to reach. So you send them a question. In this case, for example purposes, we're asking if these individuals are on campus. After they respond, we can now see the number of dark blue pens has been reduced to those solely on campus. We then ask only those individuals a follow-up question, do you need help? Once again, based on their responses, we can now identify the small group of people that we need to help as quickly as possible with these green pins. So we can further subdivide the remaining individuals and provide each group with the most relevant instructions. So you'll see here, we tell those in the greatest danger to shelter in place, those on one side of campus to exit to the west, and those on the other side of campus to exit to the south. We also now have metrics around the situation. 82% are off campus, 26 are on campus, and 6 require assistance. You can then also visualize the impact of those instructions you provided to see the changing location of each individual. As you can see here, 20 have now moved off campus. So what I'm showing you is one of OnAlert's new product releases called Engage. Engage enables mass engagement by empowering small safety teams to interact with large audiences to best manage emergency situations. The safety team sends out an alert with a question and immediately starts receiving information about the situation. The audience is automatically divided into groups based on the responses, and you can quantify the number of people in each group. You can then also send specific instructions to each of those groups quickly and easily based on the information you've received. You can also continue to ask questions in order to further divide the groups and receive additional information about the evolving situation as it unfolds. And with that, I am going to hand it off to Phil to give you a brief demo of OnAlert Engage.
Thanks, Elizabeth. As Elizabeth mentioned, I help look after product at OnAlert, and I've been pretty excited for the opportunity to share more broadly what we've been working on with Engage. As she mentioned, Engage is a new set of capabilities focused on simple and effective two-way communication with your subscribers through both their direct responses to your outreach and the data they share to help paint a picture of a situation. So let's get ready to jump into the UI. and learn more about how Engage can help even small teams easily scale up their ability to respond to situations through mass engagement. With Engage, you'll be able to reach, locate, and interact with subscribers whether they have installed the OnAlert app or not. So you get the information you need and can share targeted information your subscribers need with no downloads required. An engagement really begins as any other notification by selecting the full audience to receive your interaction, the modalities you'll use to send it, and the message itself. When you select the OnAlert app, you'll have the option to ask a question of your audience, provide them with response options from which to choose, and the ability to request their current location or not, depending on your needs. This is important, as what we're doing is first broadcasting our update widely and using that initial broad-based notification as both the mechanism to communicate the issue and the safety rationale for requesting their location. When you instead try to issue that initial broadcast based on assumed access to your subscribers' real-time locations, far fewer people would have received the message at all. It's just not a reliable way to initially communicate with your people. Doing so reduces your effectiveness, and it's why we chose to create this model of location capture. First, broadcasting your update widely and using that initial broad-based notification as a means to locate subscribers, ultimately making location data more useful to you. As always, when you send the message, your entire audience immediately receives the notification through the native app if installed or through well-adopted modalities of email and SMS. They'll see your full message and your question, your request for location, as well as the response options you define in real time or in advance via scenarios. Let's walk through a couple of examples of how this might work for you. A suspicious person. So you received a tip of a suspicious person on campus. Someone from your community via the OnAlert app or otherwise has let you know that someone who likely shouldn't be in your facility is. Fortunately, and of course, you've prepared for such an eventuality. You dispatch your mobile team with the intel from the tip, but now you can also use OnAlert to crowdsource additional real-time information using Engage. So, you deliver a message to your community, informing them to be on the lookout for a suspicious person near one of your buildings and ask if they have seen anyone fitting the description and location. Immediately, your target subscribers begin receiving notifications to be on the lookout and see that you're asking for more information about their surroundings. As an administrator, we'll transition over into Engage to view responses, and you can see that many of your subscribers are responding. And with just that, you'd be able to know where the suspicious person likely was and where they likely are now. And you can direct your mobile team accordingly. You also have a finite number of people that may be worth reaching out to later. What you're no longer doing is relying on information any more stale than real time, or depending on additional tips that may never come in, or on the other hand, responding to spikes in outbound communications that tie up a limited staff with many individual one-on-one conversations. Here, knowing who's actively in line of sight of the intruder, you can send them a follow-up message in real time to keep their distance and that security is on the way. Let's take another example of a confirmed fire and required evacuation. As with the intruder situation, you go and you fire off a message, whether created in real time or pre-planned in advance via scenarios. With mass engagement, it's not simply to notify, but to communicate and get a sense for the progress along your fire evacuation workflow. We can now begin to get a picture for what we're dealing with, both geographically and from their responses, who's not on campus and who's made it to where they're supposed to be. We can then help keep tabs on those who aren't en route by following up with just them until everyone is accounted for. So what we've been doing here is a process we call group triage. As a single administrator and beginning with our full population, we have communicated the situation broadly, maintained a manageable line of communication focused on the information we need with ready access to share new information our subscribers may need. We've identified the group of people who are safe and performed a simple triage, arriving at a handful of subscribers with last known locations who may require additional support. And as for subscribers, they're receiving information that feels and is targeted to them. And those who don't need more messaging don't get it, ultimately increasing the value of your messaging efforts for everyone over time. For a final example today, let's take an intensely challenging situation of an armed intruder or active shooter. As with scenarios in our previous examples, OnAlert has many capabilities that work together to help your community in this situation as well. For example, our recently released visual gun detection product is able to proactively monitor all of your camera feeds continuously and solely for the presence of a firearm where it shouldn't be. When our gun detect software does detect a gun being brandished, your safety team is alerted and can instantly start lockdown and security procedures via scenario, which in this case will go ahead and launch manually. But just as in our previous examples, this can also begin the mass engagement and group triage process to bring you vital information and allow you to share critical updates with those who are impacted. With just that message to your community, you'll soon know who not to worry about, and more importantly, exactly who's in harm's way. With this information and in moments of the actual gun detection, you can tell first responders in a real-time way not only the often impossible information of what the armed suspect exactly looks like and what they're brandishing, but with Engage that there's at least this many people locked down and this many people in the vicinity, and this is where they are. Critically, knowing who is who based on their response and location, you can continue to feed updates and instructions to the people who are most information starved about the response's progress, whether that's the team responding to the event or the subscribers themselves, just as we had in our previous example. As you continue communicating with your subscribers with Engage, you're able to move back and forth through the conversation as needed in the UI to pick up on and extend threads where helpful, or when things are done, archive them for later. Let's quickly take a look at Engage from the subscriber's perspective. As shown, when you kick off an engagement, they're immediately notified of it via the instant app by pointers in email or SMS or through the native app if installed. Let's say this particular subscriber hadn't seen your initial outreach that we sent earlier, and you've been following up and providing specific instructions to those who have been responsive. When this subscriber pulls up on your message, they can see a few things: when it was received, the full context of your message, and that a response is being requested of them. Because your message wasn't that long ago, and you've expressed why you need location, as a subscriber who's actively signed up for your alerts and knowing that last hurricane season was an ordeal, I'm far more inclined to provide this private location information to help you and me both. Here, as an administrator, I didn't just assume that I'd always have location access for all of my subscribers, let alone an app installed to collect it in the first place. Because of that, I'm reaching more people to begin with and more likely to receive and retain location access to paint a picture of the situation. So I'll go ahead and respond. What's happening here is that OnAlert knows the messages that you had intended for anyone who responded in the way that I just did. So we'll continue communicating immediately in response to their selections on your behalf. In this way, as soon as you've engaged someone who was a bit late, they are able to immediately be brought up to the most current communications from you. My responses will be recorded, my location captured, and my status logged through each step of the engagement process, just as if I was there live responding to your questions as you were sending them. And that's our demo of Engage, a new tool to easily arm safety teams with the ability to reach out to, locate, and communicate with any size audience, provide messaging based off of responses to information you need, and providing you the ability to share targeted guidance to your community's needs in almost any event. And with that, I'd be open to any questions. Thanks.
Okay, great. So with that, it looks like we do have a few questions coming through now. The first one here, let's see. You said it was able to reach people even if they haven't signed up. So I have a feeling that is referencing the comment about downloading our app. So Phil, I'm going to leave that to you to explain how our instant app and native apps work.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much again. Yeah, so what I was conveying there was that you don't need to have your subscribers or ask your subscribers to download an application for them to be able to participate in the engagements that you were just looking at. When you message your subscribers via email or SMS and include the app, ask your questions and responses like you saw, they will get a notification via email and SMS. If they don't have the app downloaded, they'll be able to just click that link that's delivered to them in both email and SMS, and then open up the application right away without having to install any app. They do have to be a member of your community, though, for them to receive messages from you.
And actually, kind of along those lines, I got another question here that said, any issues with getting all participants enrolled and signed up in the program? Which I think that's a great question, specifically as it relates once again to our instant app.
Yeah, totally agree. So with the Instant App, really nothing changes about the process that you go through to get people signed up for your notifications. The same way that you would tell people that if they want to receive emergency notifications, etc., from you, to provide their email or SMS, or if you already have those points of contact from them to upload them into the system on their behalf, you can still do all of that. The benefit of the Instant App and then being able to have them participate in these engagements is that they don't require any further action than the action that you're used to in building up your population, the people who you're messaging. Because again, ultimately, as soon as you message them via SMS or email, they'll have a link there and can immediately go into the instant app and see the full range of capabilities, just as if they were to have taken that additional step of downloading the app. We find that forcing or requiring or expecting the people who you're messaging to have the app downloaded from one of the stores on their device at all times is a challenging prospect. And so the Instant App is our method to remove really the administrative burden on you to sort of market an application to your subscribers on top of all the other work that you're doing.
Okay, great. Yeah. And here's one. How does one get engaged? Is it an extra or a part of the subscription?
Yeah, thank you for that one as well. So the way that we provide engaged to customers is through a tiered set of capabilities that OnAlert provides. So we have a bunch of different offerings for you all. One of those is focused primarily on one-way communication. That's our Notify product. It's just for blasting out general uh, broadcast messages, the same message to every single person, no feedback, no interaction involved with that. The next one is Engage, right? So Engage is both a tier and a capability. And with Engage, you'll be able to do all of the things that you have seen with regards to the Engage UI, asking questions, etc. There's another called Manage, which includes everything from the earlier two tiers, but also a lot of the automation, some of which you saw in the demo, excuse me, some of which you saw in the demo as well, like where I was able to click a single button and that would send a pre-scripted message that I had defined in advance to all of my people and sort of starting that engagement process. So really, it's something you'd want to talk with one of our account management salespeople about. But the detail here is that there are a couple of different tiers based off of your needs as an organization. And if you want to do two-way and collaborative communication and use mass engagement in your workflows, then Engage is the one that you want to target, or Manage if you want to include some automation to that process as well.
Great. Thanks, Phil. I think this next one's a good one. Can the engagement questions be saved within each message template? Same with engage follow-up questions and messages. Are they available as a template or do they have to be created for each new message?
Yeah, excellent question as well. So as you saw in the demo, you can pre-script the questions that you initially asked of your subscribers. So if you, in any of those scenarios or any that may seem plausible to you for this, you can determine the kinds of information that will start grouping your subscribers into meaningful subgroups that you can then start engaging with and getting to the significantly smaller handful of people that you're really worried about. So you can start off with templating an initial question and then carry it forward based off of what you find there.
Great. And here's one based on location. So please clarify how the app links with Google Map to show the subscriber's location.
Great. So when you send a message and you include an engagement and you also check the box for requesting location, what happens is we send that whole message over to the subscriber. If they have the app installed, they'll get the notification via the app. If not, they'll have an email and SMS that points them directly to the app. In either way, they open up the application and they see your message. They can see the total content of your message, why you're reaching out to them, as well as the fact that you are requesting their location for this engagement, which again is an optional thing that you can choose to do or not to do in any engagement. Nonetheless, if you have asked for that, they'll see that you've asked for that. And as soon as they click or tap one of the response options that you've preset for them, at that point, we'll poll them for their location. Additionally, later on in the engagement, you may choose to send a message, something that you're not trying to get additional information back out of your subscribers from, but just to update them on an evolving situation. For those, whenever the subscriber would open up the application and simply view that message, we'll take a read receipt so that you have a timestamp for both when they responded to a question and when they viewed any of your messages. And at that time, we'll poll for their location as well. So really what happens with Engage is that you ask your first question, they respond, we give you a location. And then as you follow up, whether through additional questions or messages, we'll continue to poll for their location at the time of their engagement with that particular message or question that you sent them. So you'll have an evolving picture across all of the questions and answers that you've received of the movement of the people through your engagement.
Great, thanks, Phil. I think this next one is the big elephant in the room that I think is probably top of mind for everyone right now. Do you have customers currently using this for return to work or school, given where we are with COVID and with vaccinations?
Yes, it's definitely an important and hopefully exceptionally temporary use case for Engage. It's one that we often hear from customers right now. And yes, you can effectively survey your population with Engage through multi-step, assessments of risk. You can use it to provide guidance based on their responses, as well as capture the data about who and when someone has confirmed themselves to be sort of a part of an affected subset and those that are cleared to return. So yes, you can use this to ask a question of your subscriber base that is focused on COVID return to work circumstances and get data back as to who is who, and then also automatically provide them with additional instructions on how to proceed based off their answers.
Okay, great. And it looks like we have another one going back to location again. Can the public user still take advantage of all of the essential features of engagement without sharing their location?
Absolutely. So the other sort of side of the essential features of Engage is being responsive to your questions, as well as receiving your follow-up messages that are targeted specifically to those people who have responded in a certain way. And so, absolutely. So, if they don't allow locations, then they do respond and continue to engage with your messaging, then their answers will be recorded, but of course their location will not. That's totally a subscriber dependent decision. We try to make it so that we inform the subscriber that their location is being requested we enable this capability for an administrator to choose whether to ask for location or not, so that you can use it judiciously. Because in reality, not every engagement or set of questions that you might have for your for your subscribers are going to require location. And it's really a best practice to use it when you need it and not to overuse it, because then increasingly more privacy conscious folks will observe that and not get you the outcome that you're looking for. And so, short answer, yes, they can still participate in the engagement without providing their location.
And this one, I believe, may be referring to our managed tier with the scenarios, workflow automation processes. The question is, am I hearing there's a workflow process available?
So in reading potentially between the lines on that one, the answer is yes. So the workflow being that you define the types of the types of situations in which you as an organization would want to have um, an engagement with your subscribers, and enable that sort of group triage and finding out who is in what situation and where in advance, through crafting your message, targeting that message in advance based off of the subscribers inside of your OnAlert network, and asking the questions that will begin that group triage process. When that situation arises, you can then, as you saw, quickly, in a couple of presses of a button, launch that out to everybody who you've targeted to, and then immediately begin the group triage process to get at those people who are ultimately affected.
Thanks, Phil. So this one has to do with specific to the app. Can I use the app without sending an engagement?
Excellent question. Yes, absolutely. The app can provide as much or as little utility as you desire, including the use or non-use of its two-way messaging capabilities. So when creating a message and targeting the app, you simply don't ask a question, and the notification sent out will be a standard one, just sharing the message content that you crafted, as well as a link to the app to support longer messages and to reinforce the availability of the app uh, in an easy to act, and the fact that you're making this tool available to your community in an easy to access way.
And this one kind of piggybacks on the location questions earlier, but I still think we could probably provide a little more color here around why not enable location for every message?
Another one. Okay, very good question. So technically, you can. That option is available to you at while you're crafting any message. It's just that doing so for every engagement, even when clearly not necessary, may have a negative impact on your intended outcomes, right? So the result of this is that when you really do need location awareness, you may not be able to provide subscribers with an easy way for you to obtain it. You got to think about it from their perspective on their device. If you've been asking them for location for things that have nothing to do with where they are for a long time, and they've observed this, they may choose to block or deny your location request. And so what that does is it creates a challenging workflow on the side of the subscriber on their device to re-enable that, right? So this is something that you have to kind of deal with given iOS and Android settings. But all of this is really why it's best practice to ensure that your subscribers are told why location is critical for them and for you, and that you establish that basis of need for the location that you're requesting, right? So we'll do what we can to, on OnAlert's side, we'll do what we can to help inform them of how they might be able to change their preferences, but giving increasing privacy consciousness, it's just important to maintain that relationship of trust for the times of need around location, given how private that is.
So thank you all for these questions. They keep coming, and please feel free to keep sending them over. This next one is, how do I find out who didn't respond?
Great. Every question that you ask of your subscribers, the reality is that just as in sending any notification out, even before Engage, not utilizing the Engage capabilities, there's going to be some subset of subscribers who don't see it or who are non-responsive. And so inside of the Engage workflow, there is a group that's dynamically created that includes every subscriber who was targeted in your message who has not responded. So you'll be able to see the absolute count, like the raw number of subscribers, as well as the uh, proportional percentage of them that have not responded to your engagement, and be able to see who those subscribers individually are as well.
Great. Um, and another one, it looks like around um, the mobile app. So this one says the instant app will give me group aggregation. The instant app questions alone will give me group aggregation, but I won't be able to communicate with a group unless I have engaged, question mark. I think they want you to confirm or
Yeah,
deny.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I please do follow up if I don't answer this one. I might go off on the wrong trail here. But what I think you might be getting at is just like the whole way messaging works inside of OnAlert. And so initially, you have an option when you're setting up your OnAlert account to group and subdivide the subscribers that you have contact information for. So you can choose to group them in any way that you want to, parents, technology, first responders, however you choose to, staff, and however you choose to do that, right? So you can have a whole group organization scheme there. When you send out a message, and particularly when you send out an engage enabled message, all of those people are messaged, and their responses dynamically sort them into smaller groups to continue targeted communication flows to each one of those, right? So ultimately, it's not going to necessarily matter that someone is a student or a staff, for example, when you're asking them, are they safe, right? So if you ask them that question, the people who are safe will say, I'm safe, yes, I'm safe. The people who are not will say, no, I'm not. And you basically then subdivided that group into the people who you should worry about and spend more time communicating with and updating, and those who have per them for their response said they're safe. And so there's really sort of two concepts of grouping here. One is something that you manually administrate, and then one is a dynamic one based off of how they engage with your engagement, its questions, etc. I hope that answered. If not, please do submit another one and I'll clear it up on the back end.
This one is, do I need to roll out the app to use Engage? I feel like you've hit on this a little bit, but maybe there's some clarification there.
Okay, totally fair. So the Engage capability is baked into the subscriber application. As we've mentioned, the subscriber app is something that you can choose to roll out in a traditional way by setting up marketing events and materials and all of these things to sort of drive people to download the native app. But you don't necessarily need to do that, because when you have their email or SMS, which are exceptionally well adopted modalities for messaging, they'll automatically get access to the app and its capabilities, including Engage, right? So a good practice is really just to simply notify your community of what to expect when you come on board with us and come on board with Engage in our app. And that is to just say that when we message you, you may see a link. That link will instantly provide you with the tools that the organization is making available to you. You'll be able to respond and all of these other things. So there's no real fuss and no downloads required for sure for your subscribers. And additionally, the administrative burden on marketing and tracking how many downloads and is it over time or over this period of time, it's all removed. You can spend the time on that, but if you would prefer to spend the time on the other things that your job entails, then we empower you to do that and just get the message out with the full functional capabilities of the app without dealing with any of that trouble.
Great. And this one's a pretty good one. Why do I need to keep messaging people? Shouldn't I just ask what I want to know right away?
That's an excellent question. And that is entirely an option. If you have a singular circumstance or status that you're concerned with confirming and nothing more, then yes, a single question and its response should be sufficient, and Engage will support you through this. However, if you do need to follow up, situations are constantly evolving. And if it's even just to update a certain group of people who are who have said that they are in the vicinity, etc., to an evolving situation, being able to follow up with them, particularly when you have a large group of subscribers, is really the point about Engage, right? And so we're not suggesting that every communication that you make needs to follow the example of a full-on engagement, but we'll support you whether it is you want to send a broadcast message that is undifferentiated and everybody receives the same thing and that's all that you wanted to say, that was the whole intent, or you're looking to get a simple question answered, or you're looking to dig deeper and further and provide updated status and obtain updated information from the subscribers who might be affected in one way or another. This is a good question though.
This next one, I think, has a little to do with maybe providing some more information on the instant app versus the native app. It says, if you have the native app subscription, then the link to the app is automatically included in communications, or do I have to include it? How do I count for the length of that link in SMS messages?
Yeah, excellent question. It's a bit of a two-part, and I'll handle it that way. So if you have the native app installed, then you will be able, as a subscriber, to have all of your interactions, so long as you as an administrator targeted the app as one of the modalities that you wish to communicate through. The subscriber will receive a push notification via the app, and that will be that. They'll open the app and they'll see all of the same things that we've been showing today. If they don't have the app installed, then they'll get this access to the instant app via SMS and email. What that means is that your message, particularly through SMS, will be truncated, and that truncation is really a way to make sure, one, that your subscribers are able to know. Sorry, it's the sign of the times, the background. My kids wanted to get into the room and have a party. Nonetheless, it's really so that you can continuously communicate the easy access to the capabilities that you've afforded to your organization's members, right, through this link, but then also so that you can have a fuller communication with them, right? So being constrained to 160 characters is constraining. If you have a message that does not go over the 160 characters or the truncation that happens when you include the instant app, then that full message will be displayed as well as the link to the app. So I'm sorry for the sort of interruptions there, but I hope that did answer the question. If not, let me know.
And this may or may not be related, to that, where your question about the truncation, but it's actually from a different person. It said, is there a way to increase the number of characters you can send out in a message?
Another good question. So what we did sometime last year is we enabled long SMS support. And really what this did was it allowed you to type as long of a message as you wanted to inside of your notification out to your subscribers. And at that point, they would receive a truncated text message with a link to the full message. And what we really saw with our customers who got access to this is that it really kind of, it seemed like they were really sort of freed by some of this, because a lot of them just went out and started composing, full-on messages that were informative, provided a complete picture of what it was they were trying to communicate, instead of just the very terse sort of code words that are sometimes included to maintain a message's single SMS count. To answer the question specifically, though, increasing the character count beyond 160 characters is not something that we currently provide. Instead, as mentioned, we do that through providing a link so that you can do things like add images to your message that will render on your subscriber's device once they get to the Instant app, and allow you to have as long of a thread, as long of a message as gets your true point across.
Okay, and let's see. I think the questions are starting to thin out a bit here. Feel free to submit more if you have any additional questions. One I have here is, can subscribers respond via SMS or email? So I think that kind of links to the questions around the app and how that works.
Absolutely. All two-way interaction is performed through the app. However, again, the benefit of the Instant app is that this capability is always a single tap away for your subscribers, and it's continually delivered to your subscribers via SMS or email, right? So again, these two most well-adopted modalities of personal communication. So when they do get this link, then they go into the Instant app and start engaging in the rich ways that we were showing, as well as having access to providing you with read receipts and the ability to capture the location, potentially if you choose to optionally set up tipping or provide resources, you can in your message even communicate to your subscribers that go to the resources section in your app for this particular thing, and you've already posted that there, so they have easy access to it. They don't have to learn numbers or go to websites to then find how to get to resources, etc. Yeah, so it's all of the subscriber responsiveness is done within the app native or the app instantly, which is available via SMS or email.
Great, thank you. One question that I think might be a good one to kind of wrap things up here, and I apologize if I did miss any. We'll be sure to go back through the transcript to make sure they're all addressed afterwards. But one question I received was whether we would be sending out a recording of this presentation, and the answer to that is yes. So you can expect that, probably by the end of this week. We'll be sure to share it with you. Like I said, we will go back through the questions to make sure we hit on all of them. And I will be sure to provide you with contact information to reach out to, if you don't already have an account manager with us, I'll be sure to put you in touch with the appropriate contact to answer any additional questions you may have. So really appreciate your time today. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and look forward to chatting with you more soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care now.